I watch her day and night. It's not a habit anymore. It's oxygen. The screens in my office glow long after the rest of the building sleeps. I tell myself I'm just checking that the security system works, but that lie stopped breathing weeks ago. When she moves, I move. When she laughs, I forget how to. When she cries, I mute the audio so I won't have to feel what I've done. I'm Daniel Okoye, 28, property manager for a quiet compound in Surulere. People pass me like background furniture. Morning, sir. Thank you, sir. Nothing more. I like it that way. Invisible men don't get hurt. But the day Mary Odiu signed the lease for apartment 4B, invisibility betrayed me. She smelled like rain and orange peel. Her eyes were too curious, the kind that make shy men stutter. I did. She smiled, said it was fine, that I seemed sweet. No one had ever used that word for me before. That evening I went back upstairs with my toolbox. I told myself the cameras were for safety. Lagos isn't kind to single women living alone, I reasoned. A few lenses in the smoke detector, one in the corridor. Protection, not obsession. But my palms were slick as I screwed each one in. Every click of metal sounded like a confession. When the feeds came alive, my heart nearly burst. She unpacked her things, danced to a song I didn't know, tied her hair with a red scarf. The sight hit me like sunlight through dirty glass. Blinding, wrong, irresistible. I whispered an apology to the screen and kept watching. Minutes became hours. Mary had no idea. She thought the hum in the ceiling was the generator. Thought the manager's nervousness was simple shyness. Still, sometimes she paused, sensing something in the walls. A vibration too steady to be power. She would shake it off, laughing at herself. I stopped sleeping. Each dawn I told myself I'd shut the system down. And each dusk I found an excuse to keep it running. Her apartment became my heartbeat. I memorized her schedule, the songs she played, the way she stretched after cleaning. I started waiting for those moments as if they were mine to claim. Then one night she looked straight into the camera. Not a glance, looked. Long, calm, almost smiling. I froze, hand hovering over the power switch. She couldn't know. She couldn't. Yet something in that gaze said she felt me there. The screen went black, but her eyes stayed in my mind, open, knowing, patient. That was the moment I understood what I'd built wasn't a security system. It was a cage, and I was the one locked inside. Sleep has become useless. The moment I close my eyes I see hers, wide, calm, unbothered by guilt that keeps my chest tight. The monitors hum like living things. Each flicker feels like a pulse that doesn't belong to me anymore. I keep telling myself I'll stop. I never do. I've started whispering to the screens as if they can answer. When she sighs, I whisper sorry. When she laughs, I smile back. I'm losing the line between seeing and being seen. The office smells of solder and dust. I eat beside the monitors, nap beside them, wake to their glow. The compound outside is ordinary. Neighbors quarrel, generators cough. But here in this room it feels like another world. I can read her moods now. When her steps slow, when she hums because she's lonely, when she's on the phone pretending everything's fine. I know the pattern of her evenings better than my own heartbeat. Then the strange things begin. One night, she looks straight at the smoke detector and says, "You watching me too?" It's casual, like she's joking to herself, but my hand freezes on the mouse. I replay it a dozen times. The next day she opens her window blinds wider than usual, then glances toward the ceiling again. Is she teasing? Testing? I can't tell. Every ordinary motion feels deliberate now. Her turning off the lights, her slowing down before bed, the soft way she murmurs songs she doesn't finish. Mary's side of the wall tells a different story. The hum behind the plaster is louder, almost human. She notices the manager downstairs avoids her even more. Head bowed, answers clipped. Something about that shyness draws her instead of warning her. She catches herself thinking about him while brushing her hair, wondering why he hides from her eyes. The idea that he might actually be watching should frighten her. Doesn't. Makes her curious. Power cuts hit Lagos often, but tonight it feels personal. The building goes dark, fans die, silence presses close. I panic, slamming switches, praying the backup inverter holds. When the monitors return, every feed is the same. Mary standing in the middle of her living room, still as a photograph, eyes locked on the lens. A single candle burns beside her. The image isn't grainy. It's perfect. She doesn't blink. She just stands there until the candle flickers out. My throat dries. Did she know the power would fail? Did she do this for me? I whisper, "Good night," without thinking. The screen dims for half a second like it heard me. I sit frozen long after dawn breaks, waiting for movement that never comes. The compound wakes up, engines start, radios blare, but the room around me feels haunted. For the first time I wonder if I'm the one being watched. I hadn't slept in 2 days. The image of her standing in candlelight still looped behind my eyes, steady as breathing. I tried to pretend I was working, fixing rent records, balancing bills, anything that would quiet the noise in my chest. It didn't help. Each time I blinked, I saw her stare fixed on the lens, calm as confession. By evening I gave up pretending. I left the office and climbed the stairs to her floor. The corridor smelled of polish and rain. My palms were damp, my throat dry. I told myself I only wanted to check the plumbing, to hear her voice in real life instead of through speakers. When I knocked, the sound felt too loud, as though I had summoned something I wasn't ready to face. Mary opened the door almost instantly. She wore a loose t-shirt and carried the faint scent of oranges. Her surprise looked practiced, not real. "Manager, right? Daniel," she said, smiling in that slow way that made the world tilt. I nodded, muttered about maintenance, and she stepped aside. Inside, her apartment glowed with the kind of order that comes from habit. Everything smelled clean, deliberate. I pretended to check the tap while she leaned against the counter watching me. "You work too much," she said lightly. "You don't look like someone who sleeps." My wrench slipped. Water splashed my sleeve. She laughed, low, warm, unguarded, and the room changed temperature. I forced myself to look anywhere but her. "Just routine inspection," I mumbled. "Routine. At night?" she asked. There was no accusation in her tone, only curiosity. She walked closer, studying me the way people study puzzles they already know the answer to. "You're always around when I least expect it. Almost like you know my schedule." Her words landed sharp. I stammered something about duty and safety, but she didn't move. She tilted her head, eyes bright. "Daniel, do you ever get lonely here?" The question hit a nerve I didn't know was exposed. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. She smiled faintly. "It's all right," she said. "Everyone gets lonely." She stepped closer until her reflection merged with mine on the window glass. The silence between us vibrated like a pulled wire. From Mary's side, the encounter felt like standing on the edge of a storm she had invited. The shy manager's trembling hands fascinated her. She could almost hear the unspoken apologies caught in his throat. The fear in him wasn't frightening. It was tender, almost pure. Still, she sensed something darker underneath, a secret humming like electricity. When I turned to leave, she followed me to the doorway. "Daniel," she said quietly, "how long have you been watching me?" Froze. My mind emptied, replaced by the pounding of my heart. She didn't sound angry. She sounded certain. I tried to deny it, but my voice cracked before the first word formed. She took a step closer, eyes steady. "You think I didn't feel it? The eyes in the walls." I whispered, "I'm sorry," but it came out like a plea. She reached out, touched my sleeve and whispered back, "Don't be." Maybe I wanted to be seen. For a heartbeat, everything stopped. The hum of the fridge, the buzz of the city, the air between us. Then she smiled, small and secret, and closed the door. I stood there long after, hand still raised as if knocking again might change what had just happened. Downstairs, the monitors waited in darkness, silent witnesses to a truth that could no longer be undone. Mary invited me in again the next evening. I didn't plan to go. I just found myself standing at her door, hand half raised, before she even called my name. "You're always nearby," she said, smiling. "Maybe you like being around me more than you admit." The room smelled like cinnamon and soap. The fan hummed lazily above us. I sat on the edge of her couch, hands clenched between my knees. She poured juice into 2 glasses, then leaned back in her chair, studying me with an expression too soft to read. "You're such a careful man," she said. "Always thinking before you move." "I try not to offend people," I replied. She murmured. "That's the thing about shy boys. You worry too much about what the world thinks. You forget that sometimes a woman just wants honesty." The word shy hung in the air. I could feel the heat climb my neck. She smiled when she saw it. "I like that about you," she said. "You look untouched, like nobody ever really showed you what it means to be wanted." I swallowed hard, unsure if I was supposed to answer. My throat felt dry, and the air in the room had changed. It was thicker somehow, slower. "Mary," I said, barely audible. "You don't have to." "Teach you," she finished for me. "Maybe I want to." She stood, walked to the window, and drew the curtains halfway shut. The late afternoon light fell across her face in stripes, gold and shadow. "Daniel," she said quietly, "you ever wonder why I wasn't angry when I found out about the cameras?" I couldn't meet her eyes. "Because I was wrong," I said. "No," she whispered. "Because I saw the way you watched. You never wanted to hurt me. You just didn't know what to do with the feeling." Every word she spoke pulled something loose inside me. She came closer, so close I could smell the citrus in her hair. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "You keep everything locked away. Let someone open it just once." I forgot the room, the noise, the city beyond the walls. Her words alone were enough to leave me trembling. She placed her hand lightly over mine. She kissed my neck and every hair on my body lifted. She looked me straight into the eyes, her eyes light up like that of a hunger lioness. She whispered to my ears, "Touch me, Daddy." I was scared. I had never touched a woman before. I didn't know how to touch or where to touch. She noticed. She slid her hand down my arm and took my hand in hers. She directed my hand down her thigh, as she moaned lighty, and even that small contact felt enormous. Before I knew it, my manhood was poking her like I was going to have an eruption. From her view, the moment was deliberate. She wanted to test the power she suspected she had, to see if the timid man could still breathe when faced with what he desired. She saw the shock, the hesitation, the silent plea in his eyes, and smiled. He was learning quickly. When she finally stepped back, the air felt charged, alive. "We'll stop here for tonight," she said softly. "Small lessons, Daniel. We don't rush what's meant to grow." I nodded, unable to speak. She opened the door for me, and before I left she said, "Come tomorrow. We still have a lot to learn." That night, I sat in the dark office downstairs, no screens, no light, just the echo of her voice playing in my head. For the first time, I realized she wasn't my secret anymore. I was hers. The days after that night blur together. I stop eating regularly, forget to shave, sometimes forget to breathe. Every thought begins and ends with her voice. I wake expecting to hear her footsteps on the ceiling. When they don't come, the silence claws at me. I still avoid the monitors, but their dark screens reflect her face anyway. Mary calls me almost every evening. Sometimes it's whisper into the phone naughty things that made my flesh burn and sweat at the same time. She tells me what she does to herself and how we did it together in her dreams. The sound of her voice steadies me for a while, then leaves me emptier. When I visit, she makes tea, asks how I'm sleeping. I tell her the truth, I'm not. She smiles as if that pleases her, then she says the last thing I expect her to say. "You can leave now." I can leave now? I wondered how I could ever leave with this much expectation. That's when I realized she was teaching me my second lesson, the most painful lesson. It was the blue balls. Our conversations change. She no longer asks questions about me, she gives instructions. Sit. Look at me when I talk. Breathe slower. They sound harmless, but each one sinks deeper than the last. I start obeying without thinking. There's comfort in it, the kind that comes from surrendering choice. Mary senses the shift too. The power she once used like a toy now feels heavy in her hands. Daniel's quiet loyalty frightens her. It's too pure, too consuming. She tells herself she can stop any time, yet every time he knocks on her door she opens it. Sometimes she keeps him waiting just to see if he will. He always does. When I was ready, according to her, it was endless sex, endless moaning, endless touches. I was in my feelings, happy to be touched by a pro. I had no limits. I always showed up, always striped when she asked me to. I had not slept for days. That morning I decided to take a sleep break in the office when I heard a knock on the door. It was Mary in a sexy red lingerie, pretending to come make a panic complaint about a noise she heard by her window. But when I stood up to go check it out, she grabbed me by the waist and whispered, "I need you." It went on until I became a shadow of myself. By the third week he begins to look sick. Eyes hollow, clothes rumpled. She suggests he rest. He shakes his head, says he can't sleep unless he hears her voice. When she laughs, he startles like a scolded child. That's when she realizes what she's done, turned the watcher into a reflection of her own loneliness. One evening she tells him not to come. He shows up anyway, drenched from rain, trembling. "You said you'd teach me," he whispers. "You can't stop now." His desperation scares her. She tells him to go home, but he just stands there, eyes glazed, waiting for permission that never comes. After he finally leaves, she locks the door and leans against it, shaking. The thrill that once felt empowering now feels dangerous. She begins avoiding his calls, closing her curtains, pretending not to hear him when he knocks. For Daniel, the withdrawal is agony. Every unanswered message scrapes his nerves raw. The one person who made him visible is vanishing. He returns to the monitors, to the cold comfort of distance. The screens light up with her apartment again. Dark, silent, curtains drawn, and he realizes he's back where he started, only worse. He whispers to the empty room, "Tell me what to do, Mary." The monitors hum but offer no answer. That's when a new message arrives on his phone. A single picture taken from one of his own cameras. His face, asleep at his desk. Beneath it a text, "You taught me well." He stares at the photo until the phone slips from his hand. The teacher has become the lesson. "For 3 days I barely leave the office. I eat cold bread, drink stale coffee, and stare at the dead monitors. The feeds have gone dark since the message. I keep replaying her words. You taught me well. Every time I read them my stomach twists. It isn't pride. It's fear. When I finally gather courage to climb the stairs, her door is already open. The curtains inside are drawn, the air thick with perfume and silence. She sits at the table with her phone beside her, as if she's been waiting for me. "I knew you'd come," she says. "What did you do?" My voice sounds hoarse. She lifts the phone. "You hid cameras everywhere. Did you really think you were the only one who could watch?" The realization lands slowly. Somewhere along the way she learned my routines, the spare keys, the passwords, the locations of the drives. She'd been studying me the same way I once studied her. "You could destroy me," I whisper. Mary stands and crosses the room. "Why would I? You already did that yourself." Her tone is calm, almost tender. "But now you'll do something for me. What do you want?" "For you to stop hiding behind screens," she says. "For once, let the world see who you are. Every secret ends in light." Sounds like mercy, but I can see the threat behind it. If I refuse, she releases everything, the recordings, the proof, my name. I nod, though I don't know what agreement I'm giving. She steps closer, resting a hand on my chest. "You thought control meant power," she says. "It only meant fear." Then she slips the phone into my pocket and walks past me toward the door. "Keep it," she adds. "A reminder of what you built." When she's gone, I sink into the chair she left behind. The phone vibrates once more. A new message appears, not from her but from an unknown number. The tenants deserve to know who watches them. A link follows. My own footage already uploading somewhere I can't reach. I run to the window, but she's gone, swallowed by the noise of the street. The city carries on, indifferent. That night I sit in the glow of my remaining screens. Each one plays a different reflection of me. Tired, guilty, still waiting for her to call. For the first time I understand what she meant. I was never the observer. I was the experiment. I pick up the phone and record a message, my own confession. If the world must see, let it start with me. The send button flashes red. Press it. Outside, dawn edges through the curtains, washing the room clean. The hum of the monitors fades. Somewhere in the distance, Mary's laughter rises like static, soft and final.